Hello my friends, what's up? And welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. The backdrop is a little different today. As you know, in the last couple of videos I mentioned my window was being replaced. It has been. We just put the daybed back, but I still need to hang all the curtains and everything. So my desk is also in a different place. It's just a mess, you guys. Different backdrop, but I didn't want that to stop me from this video because this is very exciting. We're going to talk about the Colourpop Love Struck eyeshadow palettes. These are a couple of weeks old, maybe a little longer, but Colourpop shipping is not super fast. So that being said, here we are a couple weeks later and I've got thoughts on these and I was super intrigued by them. You may be too. So if you're interested in seeing how these worked for me, a demo, all of that good stuff, then just keep on watching. Alrighty, my friends, well, let's talk about these real quick. I'll give you swatches and then we will real quick go into a demo. So there are 5, they're part of the Love Struck collection. They are very tiny, they're 5-pan palettes, kind of like the Natasha Denona palettes. And so these are $10 each. I myself bought the bundle for $42, so they knock $8 off. If you do that, it's $42. And then it is, of course, made in the USA, which all Colourpop palettes are. So there are 5. These are meant to be more monochromatic eyeshadow palettes. Definitely not an idea we haven't seen before, especially from Colourpop, but they've definitely never had these little 5-pan guys. And so a lot of people, based on my mini palette video recently, y'all have mentioned that you love minis. They just work for you. It takes the decisioning out of it. It's good for travel. It's good for on the go, on your way to work, whatever the case may be. So this may be right in line, right up your alley. So I'd like to go into swatches first, and then the demo, and then of course final thoughts. So let me go ahead and start off with one of these palettes and we'll go from there. So the first one we're gonna swatch is Amore, and like I said, these are monochromatic. This is the Plums Mauves theme palette, so you can see very, very pretty, very cute, simple. And the first thing I thought of as soon as I saw the promo pic was the packaging. It's like, it's a knockoff of the Natasha Denona. That's okay. I'm not throwing, what do they say? Throwing shade. No, I'm not kind of, throwing anybody under the bus. I'm just saying that there is a very, very close similarity, practically identical. You know the Natasha Denona to open up like this with the little acrylic top, snap, and same thing here. So we've got the little acrylic top and these snap down as well. I love the packaging. I love the Natasha Denona concept, and same with Colourpop. Just letting you know it is the same kind of style there. So let's grab these. There's 5 in each. I will let you know that 2 of the palettes have a glitter, a pressed glitter. So if you're not a fan, then just know that 2 out of the 5 have those types of finishes, or it is a pressed glitter. So I myself love a good glitter. Here is the Amore palette. This is what we're going to use today. So have 2 eyes, and granted I could have used 2 different palettes, but I got to go out today, so we're going to opt for 1. Here is Amore, and I'll be right back with the next one. Moving into the Lyric palette, and I'm kind of going one by one instead of all at the same time, just so that you can see what these look like. This is I think this is the copper toned one. So let's grab these swatches. This one does not have a pressed glitter. All of them have a matte with sparkle. I always like to call them the Too-Faced type formula, the kind that the sparkle will kind of wash off, but I do have some thoughts on that, so we'll go into those in a bit. But here are these shades right here. Very rich, very pigmented. 1 swipe is all I need to get this kind of pigmentation, so that's a win right there. Let me get the next palette. Next up, we're gonna go in with Crush, and this is what it looks like. I forget what this one was marketed as, but definitely some golds. Oh, golds and bronze is what this one is marketed as. And this one also has a pressed glitter. It is the other of the 2 that have a pressed glitter. And of course, what better way than to put a gold glitter? That's typically the thing. But I mean, I do like Colourpop's pressed glitters, I know a lot of people don't, but that's okay. I mean, I think that's why they ended up doing 2 out of 5, kind of appeal to a wide variety. So again, one swipe, super rich in pigmentation, definitely consistent there. We're on palette 3 and so far, so good. So be right back with the next one. Let's go ahead and go into Cherish. This is the cherry one of the bunch, or cranberry, sorry. This is what it looks like. And I, for one, am such a fan of cranberry shades because if you have green or hazel eyes like myself, then they will make your eye color just absolutely pop. There's something about a cranberry shade. Same thing with plum. Just it really, I don't know, it really causes the eye color to just jump out. So here is what this one looks like. Again, consistent with the last ones. And you guys know that Natasha Denona has a cranberry palette. I own that palette and I don't know where it is. I have been on the hunt for it, but again, my room is in disarray. I'd love to be able to compare it for you, but if I do find it, I will throw up some swatches. I'll throw up a picture of some swatches along with the photo of these on my husband's skin tone so that you have an idea. But yeah, definitely love me a good cranberry palette. So let me grab the last one and then we'll go into the demo. So the last of these is called Ballad, and this is the cool toned gunmetal type of palette. And here is what this bad boy looks like. One thing I gotta say, on the acrylic, it's so pretty how it's, that's not gonna work. How did I have this so that you could see it? Okay, there we go. Ooh, the lighting changes significantly. So I like how it's got the detailing on the corners. I think that's pretty. I like attention to detail, that's my thing. So yeah, we've got that. But again, this is the cooler, these mattes have quite a bit of fallout, I've noticed. And a lot of y'all hate it when I blow on my shadows, but really there's no other way to get it off. So anywho, this, I don't know how similar it is to Stone Cold Fox. I don't own Stone Cold Fox. So you may be wondering if you already own that one. And so my apologies that I don't own it to be able to give you the comparison. This may be a very condensed version of that. I do not know, but again, I do know it's the cool toned version, the cool toned gunmetal, which by nature is my least favorite only because of that. I was never a full-on fan of the Natasha Denona Glam palette just because that kind of color story, this kind of color story doesn't typically speak to me. I don't reach for colors like this the way I do others, like warmer colors or, I don't know, my bright colors. So that being said, we've gone through swatches. Let's go ahead and get into the demo so that you see how I did this look today. I am using one of the palettes with a pressed glitter. So that is, you know, I'd say my apologies, but honestly, glitter is my thing. I love a good sparkle and I love a good pressed glitter. So we are going to be using, like I said, the Plum palette today. With just a little bit of the black liner from Ballad, but I hope you enjoy and we will be right back with final thoughts.
Let's go ahead and start off with the Amore palette. This is going to be the one that we're going to use today out of the 5. We'll use a different shade from a different one, but let's start off with this. So Romeo is the shade we're going to go in with on a blending brush. This is a sequin shade. If you're familiar with the Tati palette, then you know what that is. It's a matte that is just full of little sparkles. These are the kinds of formulas that the sparkles will fall down once you're buffing it in like I am now. If you want the sparkles to kind of stay put, you need to use a tacky base. But I find that these are absolutely lovely by Colourpop. I'm very happy with them. So just spreading that all over my crease and lid, being messy, not precise in the least. Grabbing a smaller blending brush and going in with the shade Darling, which is the deepest shade, one of the 2 deepest shades out of the palette, and placing this on the outer portion of my lid and up into that little portion of my crease there at the end, and trying to let that Romeo shade peek through, although I kind of failed miserably. We're going to add some more later on, but just wanting to deepen that up. Now going in with my Fenty Pro Filter Eye Primer, as I usually do, just grabbing some onto my finger, and I'm going to place this on the portion of my lid for which I'm going to place down the metallic shade, which is going to be well into the past the halfway point of the lid into that deep Darling shade. Now, I'm gonna go in with, I think it's Woo. Oh my goodness. Why do I have so many issues with Colourpop shades? Anyways, just using my finger and patting this on, this actually is quite a bit deeper once applied on the eye than in the pan. It does go on very, very deep, but it is a lovely, lovely shade. It's a very deep plum, very rich. It's very flattering, and if you have green or hazel eyes, this will make your eye color pop. I did use a little bit of a, or not a little bit, I used a shader brush just to go into the crease area where I couldn't reach with my finger. And then going in with the Anastasia glitter glue. This is not my favorite glitter glue, the Too Faced one is, but I've got a ton of these that I need to use up. I apply this directly onto my lid where I'm going to place the glitter. I do let it dry just a bit because it's a very wet formula. And going in with the glitter called Affair, using my finger, I'm going to pat this down. Again, this is a very wet formula of glitter glue, so if you sweep, you really don't get much product onto your lid. So I'm trying to pat as gently as I can, and it ended up working out really, really perfectly. And for reference, this glitter stays on all day. Had no flaking, no fallout on my face at the end of the day, so makes it kind of nice as well. I'm going to go back in with that tiny Real Techniques blending brush and the shade Darling, and I'm just going to kind of place a little bit more down where I lost some from placing the glitter, and just kind of overlapping that onto the glitter so it looks like it's all connected, all seamless. And then going back in with that Romeo shade, remember I told y'all I lost some of that on the outer portion, just kind of adding a little bit of that back in. Okay, it's time for a little bit of lower lash line action, so let's grab a liner brush, and just grabbing that Darling shade, I'm pretty much just kind of stamping slash sweeping this onto the lower lash line. Because my foundation is already done, I'm trying not to sweep too much so that I don't get a whole bunch of fallout. But it is very pigmented, so I really didn't have to go in with a whole lot, which made it nice. Going in with a little bit of liner. I'm just going to tight line a bit because I'm really not going to go in with liquid liner for this, and I want the falsies band to be able to blend in nicely. Plus, a look like this really benefits from a black waterline and or tight line. In this case, just the tight line, but it really does add to that making your eye pop kind of thing, your eye color. I do have to be extra careful when placing this though in my waterline or tight line, just any liner, because the contacts I use, it's almost like they grab the liner and then I can't ever rinse it off. It's just stuck there forever. I'm very uncomfortable. I'm gonna go in with mascara, just using my L'Oreal Voluminous. This has kind of been my tried and true for the past, what, 2-3 months, I guess? And I really see myself just continuing to purchase this mascara. Really, really great formula, very wet. I did end up having to go in with a Q-tip after the fact and dry a few flakes, or sweep a few flakes off once they had dried. Now I'm going to go in with the shade Passion. Now, this is the lightest shade in the palette, which you would think would be the inner corner or brow bone shade. It does pull mauve. So just be aware that if you're going to use it in your inner corner, it is going to pull a little more mauve than have a brightening effect. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the Ballad Palette, and we're going to go in with the shade, I think it's Prose? Is it Prose? Oh my goodness. No, I'm sorry, it's not. It's Novel. So gonna go in with that one. That's also a sequin shade, and it is very, very deep, and there is a ton of fallout for that one. So just heads up on that. Again, stamping it on just so I don't get a whole lot of fallout since I had already done my foundation. Alright guys, well I've added lashes off camera, and this is the final look. Simple and easy, but it's a little bit dramatic. I hope you enjoyed.
I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it easy to follow, enjoyable, something. So let's go ahead and talk about final thoughts. I think you already know, based on my description for the video, that I absolutely love these palettes. These are so good. Now, I do want to start off by saying, let me pull one of these out. When they first came in the mail, I was very underwhelmed, and a lot of times first impression is everything. It can put like a bad taste in your mouth, or it can be like, ooh, this is going to be so exciting. And quite frankly, when they first came in, they felt cheap. They felt like they had just been pulled out of a dusty warehouse. And I say that because the covers were kind of dirty. When I opened them, there was a film of, I think it's like the matte eyeshadow that had just kind of like, it was like a dusting. So it looked like dust. I was really turned off by it, quite frankly. And I was like, seriously, it looks cheap. It looks like, you know, it's definitely not any kind of presentation like this. There's a layer of dust on it. It looks, the acrylic looked kind of cloudy. I don't know how else to put it to you except that I was not impressed upon first taking them out of the box, upon first looking at them, but I went ahead and cleaned off the little acrylic cover, made a huge difference. And then of course, as I started playing with them, I was like, okay. So I definitely am happy, so happy that first impression that negative first impression turned into complete happiness upon finding out that I love them. And honestly, I love them all. I will, like I mentioned, say that Ballad is my least favorite. I just don't typically I don't reach for a cool tone gunmetal palette. That's not to say it's good, it is. So if this is up your alley, then yeah, it's a great palette. They're very consistent in that they apply well. They're very opaque. I don't have any patchiness. I don't have a whole lot of fallout either, despite the fact that I get a ton of fallout in the pan, a ton of fallout. The matte, and then the matte with the, what you would call the sequin shades, those have a ton of fallout. But speaking of the sequin shades, what I do want to say is that if you buff them in, yes, most of the sparkle falls out, although some of it stays. I was very surprised about that. But if you use a tacky base and you kind of pat it on, let's just say you want it to be your lid color, sequin shades are nice. That sparkle stays. If you will use a tacky base, and if you don't buff it in, if you kind of pat it on to that tacky base, they twinkle. They are so pretty, and I'm glad that they put those types of shades in here. And you can tell they have a little more sparkle than your typical matte with little dusting of sparkle. And so they've put really good thought into the amount of finishes in these for how limited they are. So for a 5-pan palette, you pretty much get the best of all worlds. You get like a metallic, in a couple of them you get the glitter, you get a matte, you get the sequin shade. There's just a lot to choose from, and especially if you end up with all 5, there is plenty to choose from. So I love how I had filmed a video recently on that I don't really reach for mini palettes, and here I am buying a ton of mini palettes, but I knew I wanted to pick these up from the moment I saw the promo pick. So for $10, I think they are a great price point. People have been saying, well, but they're, 9-pan palettes are like $12. And I understand that. I want to say those pans of product are smaller. But in addition, I don't compare to that. I would say, okay, this is $10 and this is $25. I mean, there's a pretty significant price difference. And then if you buy all 5 in the bundle, you get $8 knocked off. So then they end up being, even less. They end up being just right over $8. So definitely worth the price. I'm so glad I picked them up. I got past the whole first impression thing, and I am having so much fun using these palettes. Okay, my friends, well, as we come to the end of this video, as usual, I do want to leave you with a very quick verse of the day. I also will throw up a phone number in case you would like to use it for prayer, for someone to talk to, for encouragement, for whatever it is that you need. Prayer is not a formal thing. It's simply talking to God. And at this point, more than ever, we certainly need to do that. And sometimes, our heart just wants someone to talk to. You may be going through something, you may not, and you still want somebody to talk to. Just no obligation, just call the number. And it really is just somebody on the other end of the line willing to pray with you and just encourage you. But today's verse comes from Philemon 4, and it says, I always thank I always thank my God as I remember you in my prayers. So I wanted to give you that verse because I do remember you all in my prayers. You are very important to me. My YouTube family is, y'all are so kind and so special. I have just absolutely enjoyed interacting with y'all, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. So I do remember you in my prayers, and I thank God for each and every one of you. All right, guys, well, this is the end of this video, so we're gonna end it here. But until the next one, please stay safe and stay well. I love you, but please remember that Jesus loves you so much more. Take care, see you soon. Bye, guys.